After 3 years into the current gaming generation, many of us are still waiting for that definitive so-called next-gen moment. So far, nothing has convincingly taken us there. Nothing has delivered the scale, visual splendor, technical depth, and freedom that many had envisaged. But all that is set to change, thanks to a studio that has given players some of the most revered gaming experiences ever. Bethesda Game Studios. It looks intent on delivering not just a worthy current gen experience, but one that could define an entire gaming generation. A game you get when you combine the grandest of ambitions with irreplaceable and valuable experience spanning decades and a drive to execute on a vision so bold that it has taken the studio 20 years to finally muster up the courage to make. Bethesda are known for creating game worlds that transport players into them. However, this legendary studio has now taken on the task of not just engrossing you into one world, but an entire universe. In order to do that, Bethesda has focused on its strengths and then gazed into the stars. This is a Bethesda RPG as you know it, but with its mechanics refined and then turned up to the max, and now based in space, granting players with more freedom than they've ever had before in such an RPG. The sheer premise of this game needs to be applauded, considering that this studio's games are still, to this day, some of the most systematically dense ones out there. This is more than just a new IP from Bethesda. You need to appreciate that Bethesda is telling you, by the very nature of this game and its scope, which is immediately obvious at a cursory glance, that Starfield is its magnum opus. Or at least a real attempt at that. Name one game that comes close to Starfield. Indie title No Man's Sky is often cited, and whilst it has some similarities, despite its admirable scope, it took several years to realize and still does not come close to matching the day one experience that Starfield is promising to offer, with its visual fidelity, myriad of systems, customizations, and full story and RPG elements. Look at Star Citizen for an example of a title that has been in the works for over 10 years, with a development budget over $580 million. That exceeds Cyberpunk 2077, GTA 6, and Red Dead Redemption 2 combined. Starfield, on day one, promises to deliver the kind of space RPG that many of us gamers have dreamt of playing for several years, and it looks set to do so majestically. So what makes Starfield so special that many are prepared to call it a potential game of the generation? There are not many games that let you do what Starfield will let you do right out of the gate. Bethesda have gone way above and beyond the call here. Did Bethesda really need to realistically simulate the galaxy around you? No, but they did. The moon that you see at the distance there, you can visit it. You like customization? You can customize your player, guns, your base, ships. You can custom build your ship with ridiculous freedom. Then you can use your ships for traversal or combat. Ships have their own systems where you balance out maneuverability, combat, or travel distance. You can have your own crew in your ship. You can hijack enemy ships by docking them and then engaging in combat within them. You can visit actual space stations you encounter in your travels. This is way more than we were expecting, and it's simply unmatched. Remember, this is still a Bethesda RPG at its core, and the mechanics that you may have been accustomed to have been refined to a whole new level. There are even deeper leveling up mechanics here. The key word here is choice. You can choose different player backgrounds with different traits that will have an impact on how encounters pan out. You have conversational options. There are several factions, and you can choose which one to join. There is a whole story mode with campaign missions in the game, all wrapped up in this massive space RPG. Visually, the game looks astounding to me, especially considering the scale. The lighting in the game, thanks to global illumination, is a sight to behold. The sheer vistas alone look jaw-dropping. Combat has never really been a strong suit of Bethesda's RPGs, but the gunplay here looks extremely refined. In fact, it looks like one of the game's strong suits, again benefiting from all the choices that the game bestows upon you, such as choosing stealth, a run-and-gun class, melee builds, and more. Every planet has its own gravity. Using ballistic weapons where there is zero gravity will propel you backwards. The attention to detail is incredible. Like a Bethesda RPG, you can do all sorts of physics-based fun, and the game memory stores that information. The level of interactivity within the game world goes far beyond a lot of other games. Starfield makes other games look remarkably simple. No amount of visual fidelity, fancy camera work, and scripted events can conceal the absolute divide between them. Bethesda's games are usually in a class of their own. To me, Starfield looks absolutely phenomenal. The AAA space rarely sees this kind of ambition, and I can see the passion pouring out of Bethesda and Todd Howard's team. Perhaps it's my fascination with space and the larger universe. I have enjoyed Bethesda's games to some degree, but there appears to be a level of refinement here that I've yet to experience from them. This is a culmination of all the lessons Bethesda has learned over the years, and I think it's about to deliver a generation-defining RPG the likes of which we will have not seen before. This appears to be a special title, and one that we will soon be able to finally experience. If Bethesda hold true to their promise, each player will have their own unique and compelling stories to tell, their own experiences, a whole universe to traverse and get immersed in, to build what they want, how they want, to get lost in not just one world, but several different worlds. Can Bethesda capture the sense of imagination and intrigue we have about space? We don't have to wait long to find out, but I, for one, cannot wait to step into the universe of Starfield.